Alright, so I finally got around to testing out the HondaGade, also known as the Creeper, today. It did phenomenal. Really happy with it. Went everywhere. Those wides are insane. A little bit too much tire for my liking, but it can turn them fine with the 83% gear reduction. But clutches definitely don't like it. That's just so much tire, so much weight and grip. Um, but yeah, runs awesome. I did throw a 300X carburetor on it today and my 2x4 lockout just to make it a little more rideable. I like the accelerator pump, but I mean, the suspension and everything works great. Um, One thing about it is I've never had a bike this long. It's got that 6-inch swing arm stretch, so the front end doesn't pop up as easy as it usually does. And it's got that giant axle paddle, so that thing's just constantly churning through the weeds, chopping stuff up. But as you can see right here, the lake's really high, so these weeds are very wet. There's no bottom. You can kind of see the weeds kind of sink down around the bike. Um, so you have to kind of float on top of it. You can really see it right here. See how the weeds kind of all like kind of sink down around me? So those wides just kind of stay right up on top of it. The axle paddle really doesn't do me any good in the weeds, but in ruts it's going to be awesome. Uh, but yeah, so I went out here, messed around a little bit, and then I went out in the lake. Unfortunately, I forgot my GoPro, so I wasn't able to get any good GoPro footage for you guys. So it's all drone and cell phone, which will kind of suck. You can see right here, I had to bail, but it just walks itself right out. It does really need a front locker. I'll probably have to spool it eventually, but I don't know. I like how easy it steers right now, so might try to stay away from that. But overall, really happy with it. I do have some more work to do. I need to waterproof it better. You'll see a little later how much water was getting in the airbox. It also does some really funny wheelies. You can get it on a water wheelie in first gear, shift into reverse, and back up still on a forward water wheelie, if that makes sense. But obviously, I didn't have the GoPro, so I wasn't able to record that. Just had the drone and the cell phone. But so the drone is totally flying itself right now. There's no one out there with me. I'm totally solo, so there's a pretty high risk of it crashing into the water on its own or doing something crazy. But this new drone's awesome. I did learn one thing interesting though. So the drone is locked onto the four-wheeler right now, not me. So once the four-wheeler starts to go underwater, the drone kind of freaks out. It's like its image processor's like, oh, what am I going to track? So the more the four-wheeler goes underwater, the smaller the target it sees. So it tries to come closer because it thinks it's farther away, when in reality the four-wheeler's just going underwater. So it actually almost crashes into me right here. It just kept getting closer and closer and closer, and luckily, finally, it lost track of the four-wheeler altogether once the four-wheeler went completely under. So, yeah, I thought I was going to get hit with the drone right there. It was kind of sketchy. It's doing this totally by itself. No one's flying it. But yeah, that's why you lock the drone onto your shirt or your image, not the bike's image. So it lost me right here and it hung up, which worked fine because I was able to do a U-turn and do some more water wheelies and stuff. But that 300X carburetor runs great underwater. The accelerator pump, as soon as you start to get a little bit of water on the air filter, you just squirt it a few times and it keeps it running. Even with the 6-inch stretch, it water really's fine, especially with the wides on the front. It does float, but honestly, even in water this deep, it's very manageable because of how wide the bike is, and it's not that tall. So check out how close the snorkel gets to go in here. There's a little reverse wheelie for you, very floating. I need to snorkel that gas cap a little better. I might put a taller snorkel on it. I'm not sure if it's necessary. I mean, it didn't get that close, right? Yeah, hilarious. Someone at work was asking me, what happens if your bike dies and you're out in the middle of the lake? And I said, it's an irrelevant question because this is a Honda, and that just doesn't happen. Um, I hope you watch this video, Tommy. But yeah, anyways, so here's the drone flying up to the bike. I go rocking the new Mud Puppy T-shirts. Hope you guys got some. They're awesome. We're gonna do koozies next. There's my little playground. Yep, that's about it for the drone footage. Oh, this is just the lake. Yeah, it was really pretty out there today, so I flew around some. 40 miles an hour. And here's Travis with his beard. He's kind of semi-famous now. Oh, there's Kayla back there too. I was supposed to get jumping in on video, but it didn't work. It's basically a 4-inch Foreman lift, 6-inch stretch, 350D rear end, seriously braced swing arm, giant axle paddle. I mean, giant. It almost touches the ground. 31 wides, with a top of the bike is a 700XX. The bottom of the bike is a TRX 300FW. Only thing I've done since I got it is I added a 2x4 lockout to make it steer easier with the giant wides. And I put a 300EX carburetor on it and some longer tie rods because this alignment was kind of funny. But there's a few things he never got a chance to finish up. Jamie did something really neat on this bike for the steering to make it steer easier. He did like a He welded a spacer onto the knuckle basically to keep the steering angles decent. So the tie rods are pretty flat, so it steers pretty easy for how big it is. He also welded on this awesome old school White Brothers pipe onto the stock header. But yeah, all the lights work and everything. It's like pretty much a functional TRX 700XX, except that it's actually stable and rideable, unlike the real 700XX, which is a death trap. Sweet, looks at the light on. Oh yeah. But we're going to take it out on the lake spot and do some testing. Has an 83% gear reduction. It's a prototype. I'm not sure if I can tell you who made it. He'll comment if that's okay.